because of just the way things are scheduled. So I have a little bit of extra time to film and stuff and get uploading. So I thought I'd fulfill a kind of request from a subscriber who asked me how did I end up in Colorado, which sort of I can't really answer without asking the bigger question of how did I end up in the US. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that, so you can get to know me a little bit more. And yeah, I personally really like it when people just talk about themselves, like for ASMR channels. I just like hearing people ramble on about stuff that's not of really any relevance to me, but you know, sort of interesting, I suppose. I hope this is sort of interesting. Quick disclaimer: you might hear a little bit of traffic outside. It's a very kind of cozy Sunday afternoon. It's been very windy and just kind of cold. There's been a bit of a cold snap, and so people are in their cars more. They're not walking around as much, so you might hear a bit of extra traffic, but personally I think it's quite calming, the occasional car driving by. Hope it's not a bother to you. Alright, so here we go. Sorry about that was kind of gross. I moved to the US when I was 17 with my family. We came here because well, the long and the short of it is money. There was some major restructuring of the organisation that both my parents work for. It's a really big one across the country, and it meant that my parents suddenly were being paid a lot less money for a job that they'd been doing, you know, their whole adult lives. And my dad especially had a hard time finding work near us. He had to commute to London every day, which was round trip was about 6 hours. 6 hours of commuting. Didn't matter if you drove or took the train. So we never saw him, and it's also really expensive to get to London from where we were, which was Ipswich, every day. So it was just not an ideal situation, and yeah, just not good long term. We couldn't afford to live in London, because anybody who knows London knows it's really expensive, especially for a family. You know, unless you're renting a tiny kind of hole in the wall somewhere, it's really tough to find somewhere nice to live then, or you know, passable to live. So it was just not a very nice time. We didn't see my dad. My mum was under a lot of stress too, with the family stuff and her job. So instead of moving somewhere we knew we had to move, we couldn't stay in Ipswich. And instead of going somewhere else in the country, I'm just going to move this a little bit this way. Instead of going somewhere else in the country that we didn't know, actually that's fine, we decided to completely start again somewhere else. So we moved to Wisconsin, to Milwaukee. We made that decision probably like late 2013, and we were there. We had a house that we'd like bought online. That was all settled by late August, I think, of 2014. And sadly, because of the way the UK property market works, it's a really tedious process. A lot of my subscribers can relate to it. It's horrible. you're very much reliant on the people in your chain. So the people buying your house, and the people buying their house, and the people in the house that you're moving into, you're completely reliant on their finances and their will to move when you want to move. That got all really mixed up, so my mum had to stay in England for about 2 months afterwards, which was really hard. So yeah, I did. So I moved to the States when I was 17 years old. And I did a year of high school in the States, which was really weird. I think I was used to a lot of freedom as a teenager. British kids tend to have to kind of grow up faster, I think, than Americans. There's a lot more expectations, educationally and socially, and so we're given a lot more freedom that American teenagers just aren't, which is a shame, because it's not like we're smarter than them, because obviously we're not. And it was really weird because everything was really easy, but I didn't really understand how anything worked. Like, they got graded for everything, every assignment was graded, which was weird, because in the UK, you know that everything you do throughout the year, you get graded on right at the end in an exam. And it wasn't the case. It was a cumulative kind of everything you did throughout the semester, and I didn't quite get that. No one really explained it to me, and it was really strange. And also, like, I don't know, you're treated a bit like a little kid. You have to ask to go to the bathroom, which is bizarre. And like, you have to go, like, in the UK you don't have to go to school, but after you're like 16, 17, like, if you do, it's because you want to be there. In the States they're quite strict, and you can't even leave the lunchroom in this particular school, so they could keep tabs on you. It was really weird. And there was a curfew. Can you believe that? There was a curfew at night. I don't think it was ever really enforced. I think a couple of people got really unlucky and caught out by the police. But I never did. Like, I didn't. I never went home at a certain time. And I never got in any trouble. But it's so stupid. But having said that, the people were really, really nice. I did make friends, maybe not like lifelong friends, because everyone was a senior about to graduate and go to college, so everyone was a bit checked out and not really looking for, you know, long-term friendships, which is absolutely fine. Like, honestly, same. So people were just really nice and welcoming. The kids, at least. And I had a good time. Overall, it was a really good school. My brother goes there now. Yeah, and then I graduated after that, less than a year in America. And I decided that I wanted to stay in America to study. Because depending on where you go, it's cheaper than the UK, which a lot of people don't realise. If you go to a public school in the States and it's in-state tuition, it's cheaper than the UK. I decided to go to school in Iowa, and I had a fantastic time. Iowa kind of has a reputation for being boring, which is pretty true for a lot of the state, I'll be honest. I have a real soft spot for Iowa, but the city I lived in was fantastic. It was so much fun. It was definitely a party school. I think the first and second year I was there, it was like the number 2 party school in the country. So that was pretty cool. There was always stuff going on. A really big music scene. Obviously, Americans are really into their sports. And my school was a Big Ten school, so which means it's in like the top league for college sports. And it's very serious, like this whole like stadiums and a lot of money goes into sports. Even for people that don't, like, everyone watches the game, even people that don't go to the school. Which was really weird to get my head around, taxes in Iowa and did a couple of other kind of legal loopholes and things. Not loopholes, but jumped through a bunch of legal holes. Hoops. So that I would be classed as a resident. So I got really cheap tuition after the first year. And yeah, it was a good time. I graduated in this May. Yeah, it was weird because I had to do the last 3 months of college ever online. Got physics of COVID, graduation got cancelled, and which is honestly fine. I was not looking forward to it. It's not really my thing. I was going to do it for my family because they were really excited and proud of me, which was really nice. They were very supportive throughout my kind of college career. I majored in psychology, by the way, in case anyone was curious. I'd like to go to grad school in a couple of years to become, I think, probably a therapist, but maybe a clinical psychologist, depending on how much money I can drum together. Yeah, I met my best friends at college. I lived with one of them, 2 of them, and the other one lives down the road, and the others are different parts of the country, which is sad. The furthest is New York, the city, which is fine. It's cool to go visit her, and it's good to visit Jeffrey. He's in the middle of the country. I don't know if he wants to tell. I don't know if he would want his city broadcasted on the internet, but he doesn't live it. So yeah, I moved to Colorado. I made the decision probably around January of this year. It just felt right. I've been to visit a bunch of times because one of my best friends moved here the beginning of 2019, and I went to go visit her, see how she was doing, and I loved it here. I love the mountains, I like the city, and it just seemed like a great kind of, the lifestyle here is great. There's a lot to do. There's perfect great city life, great music scene. Not right now, obviously, because of COVID, but normally there is. And even with COVID, it's still pretty good. And I love nature. I love going on hikes. I love skiing. I haven't been skiing in a long time because I've lived in the Midwest, which is really flat, if you didn't know. So yeah, I fell in love with it. I went to go visit a couple times because I travel a lot, and when I can at least, completely on the cheap. I'm such a cheapskate. And I go to Central and South America, by myself on solo trips to explore. And I found out that it's way cheaper to fly out of the airport here than it was out of Chicago. So I would literally just get 2 round trips, one to here, and I'd spend some time with my friend, and then I'd just go on my trip, and then come back. So I spent quite a bit of time here before I moved. And then you can hear my roommate playing D&D. I'm sure you don't care, but that's what he's doing next up. And then my other best friend moved here as well, with another really good friend from college, a bunch of other good friends. And that's the one that you can hear. He's, yeah. And I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so I had so many friends here, and I love the city. It seemed like a really natural step up from where I was living. It's quite big, but manageable. It's not, it just seemed right. Also, I didn't know what I wanted to do, career-wise or education-wise. I know I want to go to grad school eventually, but I don't know specifically what in, and I want to get some experience just working. So it just seemed like a really good idea coming to Colorado. I already had a community built in, which has been fantastic during COVID, because it's so hard to make friends. Like, at the moment, because people aren't really going out as much, and people are kind of sticking to their own more, which is, fair enough. So it's really good having a community already built in. Especially, like, we all live in the same, 2 blocks of each other, which is insane. That was not deliberate, it just kind of worked out that way. So yeah, that's how I came to Colorado, and by extension, how I came to the US. Obviously, a lot of really fucked up shit is happening in the US. We have a fucking idiot. Well, I would say, idiot's kind of a nice way of putting it. A fascist in the White House. We've handled this COVID thing horribly, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon. And yeah, there's a lot of just real awful systemic problems in this country. However, I see myself here for a long time. I really like it. I really like the people. It's very easy to make friends when there's not a pandemic. Yeah, and it's huge, there's a lot of freedom in the size of it, I think, in terms of finding where you want to live. Because it's also different. Climate, the people, the terrain, it's all just completely different depending on where you go, which I like. And also, people I love are here. My friends are very important to me. As you can tell, because I moved across the country to be closer to them for the time being. So yeah, I do like it. I'm glad I moved. I'm glad we decided to do that as a family when I was 17. Well, I guess I was 16 when we decided. And yeah. If you have any questions about, I don't know. I won't. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you, where I live, but I'm pretty open if you wanted to ask. I don't know about how I feel about things here versus the UK. I love the UK. Don't get me wrong. It just didn't really work out for my family to stay there, even though that's where we're from. And I'm not closed off to going back. I'm just pretty settled here. And so is my family, and my friends obviously who are American. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. It's already a bit longer than I thought it would be, this video, but I hope you're doing fantastically well. Hope you found this relaxing or interesting, or I hope you're asleep. That would be even better. But I mean, yeah, if you watch ASMR, you're probably not the best sleeper, so I understand if you're not.